Boom, we're back. You
We're
should
back.
still flex again. Keep
I'm
that
I'm
going.
gonna. I got the.
These are
It's
just
meaty May.
these are just titties.
Midi, meaty May.
There you go. Dude, we seriously, if you want to talk depression, I mean, we recorded a 1 year anniversary episode, which if you go back and listen to it, we're talking
Damn,
about
when was that?
March 12th because that was the actual 1 year anniversary of FixFit guys. And then
It's over a month ago, man.
we were talking about the NBA closing. If you go back and listen to it, it's like Bob is
Yeah,
like
they just closed it that
that
day,
night.
that
Yeah.
night.
That night they stopped that game and went, everyone go home, clear the arena because someone tested positive.
I think
And then, yeah,
the funny thing is, it's not funny, but it's like everyone went through that same thing where it's like, man, you know what? It's just another flu. That's where everyone was at in the beginning, right?
right.
Even I said that. I was like, I'll just take.
H1N1.
Yeah, it's just another flu like the swine flu. Just let me take it and I'll be good. And now look, in a month and 10 weeks later, dude, it's the world is upside down.
March 12th, and now this episode's back May 4th. So we took so much fucking pride in doing one episode a week for a year, and then we had to take a huge hiatus, but respectively so, because for the first 2 weeks, I think there were, like you said, it was a shock and awe of like, it will go away in 2 weeks, and then like, you just kept sitting around waiting for some good news, and there was nothing but bad news coming out every single day. Like something new was happening, and then you had to decide to close the gym down. I'm sure we'll get into that for the month of April. But I was shutting down my office at the same time I shut down March 13th, just because I was like, dude, I don't know, man. Like if we don't know, and I'm coming into contact with 100% of my patients that come in, I just want to wait it out for 2 weeks, and then we'll probably go back in April. And then all of a sudden, once they said April is going to be done, we both had to go, okay, let's lower our shoulders a little bit, go to the drawing board, and figure out what we're going to do for 30 days, which was actually kind of relieving, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, in one way, it's like it's a good reset because you get some time to do things that, as a small business owner, we're always on the go. So it's nice to have time to get back to those earlier stages of being an entrepreneur where you're like planning, innovating, doing all those fun things. So from that front, it was kind of better, in terms of having more time to do those things. But it was definitely stressful because unknown. And that's what
Yeah,
causes
I mean,
anxiety in a sense, is like no one knew because we're always waiting on the next update, like we had no idea. We still
yeah,
don't, we really didn't have an idea now going into May until like a day or two ago when they released those 3 phases.
right.
So it's been stressful from that front because you just can't plan. And
Yeah,
they don't, I know what they have to do. They're managing a whole state, a whole country, but as a small business owner, we're trying to plan for the near future. But we get like, usually when we had to close down, we had like 5-hour notice. It was like released at 5 p.m. in San Diego County and said by midnight, all gyms must be closed. It's like, so those little things is really what causes, I think, a lot of the stress because you can't plan for it.
yeah. For us, it was like, well, let's just give it 2 weeks off because they said stay home, save lives by giving yourself 15 days at home and seeing if you're symptomatic for 14, 15 days. And everyone's like, okay, like we're not, like nothing's bad. And then they're like, oh, it's surging. So now stay home all of April. And my business has always been deemed essential, but there was a huge debate in my community over what that meant, because one, you're essential because we're keeping people out of urgent care that have, a back spasm that they need an injection or a muscle relaxer for, or someone got into a car accident and like they need care right away. So a lot of the offices stayed open, but I would say it was a 50% down the middle community battle between if we're essential or not essential. And I just chose the side, I guess, which was unfortunate that you had to pick a side. I kind of wish that somebody just mandated like, we need you, stay in, or we don't want you exposing yourself, so stay home. Regardless, in hindsight now, looking back, I'm glad we did it because we took 30 days to, like you said, catch our breath. And it's an unwanted vacation, but we'll never get that time off again, hopefully, if we don't have to do a shutdown like this again in the near future or in the, subsequent flu seasons or whatever they're saying now. But like, really it was like, okay, let's get a routine going for 30 days. That was kind of what eased your anxiety a little bit, to wake up on time, take a shower in the morning, to like try to get into a workout routine and like try to do, I know I personally was like, I'm going to try to do one work thing a day, one phone call a day with something business related, and really start try to slowly connect with family and friends again too through Zoom and phone calls, because something had to start trying to make it feel a little normal, and get away from the cabin fever. But also in that 30-day break, we really got to look at our protocols of what we want to do when we do open up, versus my guess is a lot of these businesses that are open, they're hearing the same news we are and changing the way that they're doing their business as they're running it. I feel like that's way more fucking stressful than sitting around and gathering a bunch of data and supplies and trying to be like, okay, let's do a soft opening like I'm planning to do for the month of May, and just being like, let's try it out and help out the people that we can. But I feel way more comfortable knowing like I have supplies, I have a protocol for check-in, check out. Patients communication is going to be different. And it's like, I couldn't imagine doing that on the fly in April. I would have just felt way more exposed. And I feel like that is where you lose a lot of sleep at night.
That's exactly what, ours, being a gym, it's different. Being a gym owner, it's way different because we had to change as we go. Because we're closed, and then the first 2 weeks, everyone thought the same thing. Like you said, hey, we'll just wait these 14 days out because that's, and once everyone stays home for 14 days, then everyone should be good. And then April is closed and the gym owners are all freaking out, including ourselves, because now we have to go a whole month of turning the business model into an online offering, right? Which is crazy. And then people are still okay, I think, hanging in there, toughing it out. But now with the new projections that the gyms are going to be closed for maybe months.
And it's just, that's not, they don't want to give a timetable.
Exactly.
But they just say, months, not weeks, for smaller gatherings and gyms and salons, but weeks, not months, for smaller, like essential businesses like restaurants to have, 10 people inside of it or whatever.
And that's
But
where it's confusing. And I think, but now at least this point where like a lot of the, I feel like I've been just on the fly too, because we're doing online challenges and we're doing online program, and now prepping for May, our business model is constantly changing, which is exciting in some ways, because I like that kind of hustle and that innovation. A lot of good has come from it, learning how to use a lot more tech and Coach's Eye and Zoom and all that. But I think it has been stressful, and it will continue to be stressful because there's no, for right now, I think all the gym owners are freaking out. Everyone that I've talked to or I've seen online, it's like doom and gloom right now, because it doesn't make any sense that for another 3 months, let's project that it will be closed. And even when they start to open up, they've already talked about it's going to be very limited. Like there's going to be a lot of rules, right? You're going to maybe have like, what is it, 3 people in at a time? Is it 6 people? Is it 10? Who knows? And then does everyone have to wear a face mask? Because that's the mandate in May. So it's just a weird time. One thing that that kind of trips me out is that there's like a lot of the CrossFit affiliate owners are like signing the petition to open back up and stuff for May, because they just got this news. And I have a different mindset on that. It's like, I think right now, because it's so, especially in San Diego, can't speak for any other area, the numbers aren't looking good. Everyone's still gun shy about going back to the gym. Like, let's say they allowed us to open in May. What are you looking at? Maybe a third of your client base, your members, that will feel comfortable. And it might be really weird where you only allowed maybe a third capacity, right? Like, so if we petition and we keep trying to open it too soon, then when the society's ready for, then the biggest hit we're going to take is we're going to lose the leverage of negotiating with our landlord and rent. That's the biggest thing, is like, because we're government mandated in phase 3 to not open yet, we have the potential to still talk to our landlord or property managers or whoever and say, hey, look, we're still closed. We need more rent deferment. We need more help. But if all of a sudden everyone pushes for us to open too soon, then technically we're legally allowed to open.
Yeah.
And what if they say you can only do one-on-ones? And we're like, that's not our business model. And then, but we're going to have to start paying full rent because they're going to be like, hey, you guys are open. I don't know what you want from me. You know,
That's the situation we're in. It's like, hey, your business hasn't been mandated to shut down, so why aren't you in? And it's like, but if we are in, we're not optimally running our business because we have to operate under all these restrictions. One person in the office at a time, taking temperatures as they come in, wearing masks. People might not want to, if they really don't feel like going out and they feel at risk, they won't come in. So we're not operating optimally either while we're in. So it's like, it's such a revolving door. And it, as a business owner, I'm sure everybody's like, if you own a business and you have a brick and mortar, like you'll be nodding your head right now at that stuff, because you're like, yeah, we're all dealing with the same shit. But where you and I, and and using Robin and other members of our team to bounce ideas off of and have meetings with, for us to sit and back and look at new opportunity. And something I like that Robin says is like, when you see like an Instagram post that's like, hey, take this time for like new ventures in your life, she's like, don't fucking like be like, I'm gonna read 10 books and like learn a language, like be realistic with yourself. So like my new routine would be like, if Tuesdays and Thursdays, like I don't have anything going on, like I'm like, I am sleeping in, I am staying up later the night before, and I'm going to take it as like this isn't normal. So I'm not going to act normal, like I'm going to do whatever. And it's like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I have Tuesdays and Thursday off, I'm going to learn Spanish. Like, don't overwhelm yourself like that, because then you're not taking that time to really establish like a balance in your life, right? With this weird scheduling going on. So what we kind of look at is, how can we build FixFit, right? So do we build an online platform for it and start offering programs? I have to make video content to show my patients, like, look, I am getting tons of messages from people that are sitting too much. Obviously the same things I just said: eating bad, not sleeping right, working from home. Maybe you live with a spouse that you don't enjoy living with and you can't escape from. I mean, that's high levels of stress. Plus turn on the news and just be, bombarded with nothing but bad news. And you're just running on high cortisol levels all day. So people's necks are hurting. I'm sure there's headaches, definitely tons of low back pain. So I'm like making lacrosse ball videos, foam roll videos, which I normally don't do. But it's like, this is the only way I can get my face out in front of my patients before I can return. But those are new opportunities. And I actually started noticing, like, I'm enjoying making these videos. I'm getting good feedback from it. And what I've seen from your gym is like, these Zoom meetups are like going so well, and the online challenges. And like you said, if you open up May 1st, you'll run into the same problem I'm running into. Like maybe a third of them want to come in. Maybe the other 2/3 are like, I'm not going out there yet, it's not safe. So they're going to need to continue those at-home workouts. And you guys are already a month ahead of the game on that.
Well, we always have to be sensitive to everyone. We have a lot of nurses, and they're on the front lines, and I know they're going to appreciate that we're staying close. Versus
Yep.
some of the other people that might be like a college kid saying like, why can't we just do what we want? Because there's people that are actually affected, and for us, it's like, we always say, like, not we always put the community first, and that's the community as a whole. So now it's a community as in like San Diego, California, like we have to do what's right for everyone. And it's
Right.
hard to make those decisions because trust me, I want to be back in the gym. I want to be back doing jujitsu. But right now it's just not the time, like, and instead of just kind of hoping, which I think most of us was hoping, waiting, just wanting to get some better news, like hoping May would change. And now that
Yeah.
you got that 3-month kind of like death sentence for gyms and jiu-jitsu studios and trainers, then it's like, okay, I think people will now start to figure out what's really important to them. They're not trying to, like you said, learn a language or play an instrument or doing something anymore. They're like, holy crap. I've had the talk with Andrea. I'm like, well, what are we going to do in 3 months? We have to start planning because we don't know what CFS looks like. It might have to be downsized. It might have to be to start over and become its own, like, who knows? Nobody knows. But it's kind of just at least get in your mind that this is the new normal, and you have to figure out how to thrive in it, whether you're a small business owner, a coach, or even just someone that likes to work out. You're not going to have your same luxuries as you want, so you got to stop hoping for it. Your 24-hour fitness can't open back up in May. It's not going to happen. Your CrossFit gym is not going to open up in May. It's not going to happen. And if it is, it's some weird thing where you might have to wear a mask and you're doing a salt bike on a mask. Like, good luck. And you know, you can't high five each other. It's just weird. But that means, what do you do now? And
I
that
know
should,
golf courses open tomorrow in San Diego, and they're taking temperatures of everybody that comes in, and it's one person per cart, and you have to. There's all these new timetable things of like when you get released out into the greens, and it's like, yeah, you're right. That's going to be the new normal. But how many of these courses that are already struggling to survive in Southern California are already like, hey man, we just took the month of May or of April to game plan to open in May with these ordinances, right? Like,
I've talked to a lot of different small business owners within our community. It's just, you know, the reality of it. It's you have to start over somehow.
yeah,
If your business can't downsize, and you project, just run the numbers, be honest with yourself, and we have, and it's like most small businesses aren't going to survive this, in the sense that it's going to return the way it was before COVID.
right.
There's no metric or data that proves that that's going to happen. It's not possible. Like you said, Howard golf courses, they're already struggling, you know, like Carl Mountain closed, and that's one of the oldest courses around here. And it's like, they can't maintain it. But now, being closed for, or limited capacity,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way. There's no way that
And
any
that's,
loan that we're going to hope to get is going to just prolong the slow suffering of like, all right, I get whatever loan, but how is this just going to cover like 3 more months of rent? But then
right.
what? You know,
And
you're going uphill.
that's an activity that practices social distance naturally anyway. There's no
Yeah.
contact with anybody. So imagine, you're right, like jujitsu gyms and salons where they're touching people for 45 minutes. And they're in close contact for 45 minutes. But you're right. It's like nurses are like on one end, like, hey, I'm glad you're abiding by not spreading it. But also on the other end, they're like, I'm on the front lines. My back is hurting and I'm not doing my normal workout routine, or there's no time. And you know, I have a handful of or big handful of nurses here too. And they're the same thing. Like, wow, I understand why you're closed, but let me know when the hell you open back up again, because I am hurting bad from working all these overtime hours.
Yeah.
So
I know a lot of people are, you know, same thing. We don't get the daily. I mean, you're doing workouts at home, and it's not really coached. I mean, you're just hanging out on Zoom, but you
right,
don't. We also don't. We, in our gym, we incorporate, as everyone knows, a ton of FixFit, so it kind of preserves the body. So I'm pretty sure everyone's hurting, you know, just because you're trying to work out on your own without a warm up. You know, you're not utilizing the proper like equipment. You're just kind of making stuff up, you know, as you go.
yeah,
So it's, I think, again, it's like April kind of ran its course, and with this new news, people aren't gonna just wait, because they're probably hoping that the gym
yeah.
would open back up, that there will be, you know, coaches there to guide them as much as they can. So
Well, man, running outside is about the only legal thing you can do.
for
So
now,
so
in May,
that
you have to wear a mask when you get outside, right?
if you come into contact with 6 feet,
Well,
so
that's
that's,
kind of,
again, it leaves that interpretation of like, well, if I'm in a grocery store, I come in contact with 6 feet, but if I'm running outside, I could run away from somebody and not come in contact with 6 feet.
yeah,
My thing is like, if I'm outside walking or running, I'm maintaining 6 feet from people anyway. So it's
yeah.
like, I'm not wearing a mask while I go jogging outdoors. But that's my personal choice until some cop pulls me over. That's like, you have to. But I mean, I guess a trail, if you're on a tight trail, but I don't know which ones are open right now. I don't know what about any of that yet. But I guess, you know, when we went on a trail before, it was in March, I mean, you definitely come in pretty close contact when passing by people. So that would make sense. But just running around your block, I mean, you just go to the other side of the street if you see somebody coming your way, you know?
Who knows? That's
It's
another
not
thing.
airborne.
Yeah, I don't know. People always speculate, and then a couple weeks later something changes. So that's
Yeah,
why
like,
it's like, there's just no point. Even though we all do it, including myself, we just run our thoughts, go down the rabbit hole. But It's like, that's important. Every time there's a shock and awe, your brain needs to kind of think things through, all the good scenarios, all the worst ones. But now it's like, we just have to move forward, I think.
Well, I think a couple of things that I know have helped me deal with like stress or cabin fever, I guess. Um, Using Zoom, I mean, this technology has been there for so long, and now we're being forced to use it, and it's amazing. So, like the way that we're recording this podcast, it's like, wow, like when we first were like taking a break from FixFit, or I'm sorry, from recording, we're like, well, we can't do it at my office. I mean, it's just you and I, but maybe we shouldn't. I was like in my head, like, well, we can try a Zoom, but obviously we had other priorities to take care of first. But it's amazing, right? So uh, I love Zoom classes. It helps the accountability portion of the workout. So like we have a small group that's like meet up at 6 on this day or every day almost, and let's do one of the challenges or let's do the workout. And honestly, I don't even know how anybody's doing in the workout, but all it made me do is show up at 6. Someone hit a timer, and I did the workout, and that felt normal. It felt like a getaway. So I'm lucky enough to have a garage gym where I can escape for an hour. But even people in that group that are just doing it in their living room, body weight and stuff, it's still that dedicated time to catch up with your gym buddies. Try Zooming with friends too, family. I mean, I didn't do that for the first couple of weeks just because I thought it's no big deal. But I just grabbed happy hour with some friends twice, 3 times now, and it's like, oh wow, that actually felt like a normal happy hour. We had drinks for like an hour and a half and played some games on Zoom too, which was pretty cool. That helped a lot. It's so nice to see people's faces and hear their voices, even though it's over the internet. But hey, we'll take it for now.
It's super interesting. I've talked to a couple people, and it's everyone's forced to self-reflect. Everyone's forced to answer those questions we always were supposed to, kind of like, what makes you happy? What are you working in life for? What's your career about? All those little things, right? And now that we've had pretty much everything taken away, and before this, we were all working for a certain goal. Like, man, I want to, more members or a bigger gym, or I want to buy my own house one day, or whatever. You're kind of like just
Yeah.
struggling to get there because you thought that was the end goal. And then now that you're forced to reflect, and when everything's gone, you're like, what do I actually crave? Like, that's like the shit in your soul, like every single day. And then talking to all these people, we realize that it's like, it's what you said, it's the connection, it's the people.
Yep.
I'm not sitting here craving a 400 member gym. I'm not craving, like, even if I were stuck here and I had like a house that's a mansion, that's not important, and these things that seem to be so important, success, tangible things. If I had 3 or 4 nice cars, I don't even have anywhere to go, but what we really, really
That's
miss is
that's my concern with the return to public or return to somewhat normalcy. Is the problem is that they say all these comorbidities are what put you at risk for death with COVID. And it's like the chances are a lot of us are going to get it. The chances of the death are very low. It's like the chances of death are elderly or comorbidities like obesity or cardiovascular issues, trouble, asthma, things, problems with your lungs. And it's like we have so much of that stuff that we are already doing in place. Diet, working out at high intensity levels, running. You see a lot of people outside running right now. And it's funny because like you hear somebody say like, I have a cough right now, and it's like, it's got to be allergies because it's dry. But they're like, I have to go outside and run 2.5 miles before I realize, oh wow, like it's not in my lungs. I'm good because I just ran 2.5 miles, or I just did a 20-minute CrossFit workout at high intensity, and I'm not getting shortness of breath, because you see that plastered everywhere online. So when we do return to public, and what I encourage, or what my stance is, I guess, on it, which, take it for what it is, but it's like, we're not stressing ourselves externally outside it right now anymore, right? In your normal work life and stuff. So you're going to have to create your own internal stressors with your workouts to be able to test it. So Wim Hof's another great one that you and I have been doing. I still do it almost every day, if not every other. Definitely I do it before every workout, but that was already in place. We already had research on that showed that it would boost your immune system, that it would improve your lung capacity, right? Because it's challenging it through really big inhales and exhales and holds. So it's like people are going to start hopping on that stuff right now because they're so scared, and you're using fear as a motivator now. And it's like, you shouldn't, because that's going to increase your stress level. You should have already been doing these things. And if you're not, it's fine. My bad.
It,
If you're not doing it at all, you can at least start picking them up and dabbling in them, and just not going like, I got to go all out on that stuff now.
yeah, but that's like the mindset is important. It's like you don't want to chase symptoms, because we talked with our anxiety podcast and stuff. It's like, oh, I have anxiety. I've never had it before. I'm in like, mid 30s or whatever. And then now you're trying to throw everything at it to fix it.
I
It's
know.
not, because that's going to stress you out more. And
Can you
that's what,
imagine though, if you're sitting at home? I just think like, we're a fitness podcast, and we're surrounded by healthcare and health professionals and smart, intelligent people. Can you just imagine like somebody out there that's like obese, asthmatic, never goes outside anyway, never exercises, and they're reading all that news stuff? What are they intaking? And what are they going to do to change that?
remember that, I think you shared it, but it's all over because of the carnivore groups or the health groups. But it's like the World Health Organization said, eat a bunch of healthy oils like canola oil and
Yep.
shit like that. So it's just
And it's too late.
the information. It's like you're telling them to do the wrong thing, but it doesn't even.
And it's too late, man. Like, those
Yeah.
people are already, and then if you're telling them to stay inside, how are they ever going to build an immune system to any kind of, I mean, that's what's going to happen too. If everybody starts going out there again, you can still get the flu, you can still get bronchitis, you could still get a sinus infection, but you're going to go immediately into this fight or flight mode when you get something normal like that we normally get, and fight off with our own immune systems. And you're going to be like, oh shit, am I dying? I'm like, that's gonna be real fun to deal with.
And I think it all goes back to that whole like, the community mindset, because the catalyst for anything, for us to start any program like nutrition, fitness, like what gets you there at 6 p.m. every night, it's the fucking people. Like,
Yep.
so right now, if you're in your own head, which everyone is, and you have no social connection at work, at the gym or yoga studio or jiu-jitsu studio you go to, and you're just trying to figure it out on your own, it's not going to work. And the proof is, we tried that in April. We're like, we're going to provide the best free online challenge and workouts with videos and Zoom specialty. Yep. And then at the end of all this, coming up towards this last week, we revamped everything in May, and we're putting all our efforts back into what CrossFit is about, what training is about. It's the people. So we're going to have many classes available just so people will come in and connect. So what that means is, like, you need the people first so that you find a schedule, a routine, right? And then now that you're interacting with people again, like, if we keep hanging out at 6 p.m. working out, and there's a coach to guide you through so you don't have to stress out or think if you're doing it right. But then you and your buddies are going to start to do things that are healthier together. Hey, let's do this nutrition challenge. Hey, let's, the carnivore world's doing, all meat May or whatever. But without that, you're not going to have enough self-discipline, motivation. It sure as hell ain't fun. That's why the boom.
No, that's why every January, right, is like the restart of the, what is it called, New Year's resolutions and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but now it's fear-based, which is, it's good and bad. But
that's exactly it. It's like, you should be community-based. You're doing this nutrition challenge because your buddy's talking shit to you and it's fun.
Right.
Just like you're jumping into fantasy football. It's not like you're jumping in because you have to do fantasy football because you're afraid you're going to die. Like, it takes all the fun out of it. And that's exactly what's happening. People are, like you said, goal setting because they're scared to die. They're goal setting because they don't want to, they're so afraid of COVID because it's a real thing. But like you said, it's the wrong intention. It's the wrong mindset. Like, go start to connect with your buddies on Zoom, jump into CrossFit Sun. We don't know where we're going to be, but we're still blessed to be able to do this for as long as we can. So we're going to offer all of our Zoom classes Monday through Friday free to the public. jump
But
into
that's
some of
where
those. Like,
exactly. See, there's where you guys will stand out is that people will take advantage and write off that fear, or they'll be like you and go, "Hey, we've already been doing this. We've already been community based, and you guys are looking at this wrong. It's not a time to. Now's the time because you've heard that with like some wellness companies, like, oh, man, they say boost your immune system. Here's all the immune system boosting stuff I have for you, and it's like I'm glad Wim Hof doesn't post that specifically, but it's like that's always been one of the main side effects for them, that you're, you know, spiking your own adrenaline, and then your body learns how to fight it off. So it's just interesting that, you know, I don't Wim Hof could be that kind of a brand where they could use fear as a tactic to market themselves, but they're not going to, because that's not their bigger mission, right?
yeah, and it's the people that are already in that sub community of like meditation, breath work, it's like they understand who they're talking to. Of course there's people that share it, but it's kind of like you shouldn't start, no one's going to start anything new successfully right now. I just had a talk with my jiu-jitsu guy, and I'm like, the maybe this is off topic or not, but like, people, if you're in the jiu-jitsu community, it's like, it's really about the people that are already living that lifestyle, like maybe the blue, the purple, the brown belts, obviously black belts too, but it's like focusing on new white belts, or people that are new to jiu-jitsu. It's like the wrong mindset. Same with fitness and stuff. It's like, if you take the Wim Hof example, I suggest people to focus on their core community, because they're already invested in, like, let's say you're already a Wim Hof community guy, and you just, all you do is Wim Hof, you're going to continue to do it. But trying to prove to someone that Wim Hof works right now, and trying to get them to buy in and they haven't lived it, like trying to get someone to start jiu-jitsu at home doing drills and fundamentals, it's not going to work.
Right.
Same thing with, like, like you said, learning an instrument. That's not going to work. You weren't passionate about writing music or whatever. It's like, stick to what made you happy, but now you just have to find a way to get to it. But as a small business owner, a coach, or whatever, trainer, then you just have to kind of hone in on that. For us, it was always been community. So it's like, we're trying to focus on the people that are in the community and provide community to them, versus trying to recreate ourselves and be like, you know what, we're going to make the best, which we try to, online content. We're not online content type of gurus. We're not, we don't make professional videos and compare to other, we don't have high end edits and all that. We're shooting videos in the backyard without shoes on.
Yeah, and that's what you're right. Like, if you are picking up something new and it's one fear based, it's not going to work, because you're going to run on empty at the end of that. And two, if it's like, oh, I've always wanted to learn an instrument, now's the time, it's going to fall on flat ears, because it's something to pass the time, and time is going very slowly right now. So again, you're going to get burnt out on that, and then you're going to be on the hamster wheel going, what next, what next, what next. You just got to go back to your old normal and just know that it's going to look differently. That's it. And
And
adapt.
and we talked about it before, and this is where our principle of optimal health is so important, because we've identified that. We look back, we see where we're at, see where we're going, and the optimal health isn't just a CrossFit thing or a Chiro thing or a fitness thing. It's just like a life thing. To be
Right.
healthy, you have to have the social element. The physical is what everyone does. You sweat, you work out, lower the heart rate, all that other stuff. The mental health, for sure. But if you think about what makes us successful at certain things, it's usually that social connection. And that's always been there. So if you are going to pick up something, like when I'm successful at, like, carnivore, let's say, it's because I was doing it with Steve, my mentor, Steve Farber, and Bob, and you guys. It's like a group. If I just went and did carnivore by myself, I would get nowhere. No one to talk to, no one to chit chat with. And so, like, if that's how you were to learn a skill and apply fitness or be healthy before, you have to recreate that, or you have to use the same framework. You know what I'm saying? If you're good, like, how did you learn skills before COVID?
Exactly.
How
That's
did you do nutrition before COVID? It's because the community, a coach, somebody was on your ass and reminding you to be like, hey, man, that's why for me, every time I do a challenge, whether it's like in October with Jill Parker, just one, like I need people. So it's
yeah.
like, we have to understand like what's worked for us in the past. And we take that framework and now we just apply it to this kind of virtual model versus looking for all these different things. Like the whole internet world and social media world's already overstimulated. It's a flood of mess, it's like so much noise. Trying to figure all that out. It never worked before. So for me, I'm like, well then online programs have never worked. So why are we trying to now, just because we have to? And it's like, no,
Right.
we don't have to do anything. We have to figure out what really makes us happy and what really motivates us and what keeps us connected. And it's like, it's all about that social health element where people don't really talk about. Social health is now coming to the forefront of what people are realizing. Like I say, we crave it. This is the biggest thing we're missing. I talk to anyone that, you guys probably had the same experience, but you ask like all your friends, family, man, what do you miss the most? Oh man, I miss having a beer with someone. We used to go to dinner. Oh man, I miss going to my jiu-jitsu gym, or I miss going to, like these happy hours with my coworkers, like whatever, right? Like that's all social.
All social. Yeah.
All social, which then of course leads to mental, then the physical, because your cortisone's less and all that other stuff.
I just I just heard these comedians on a podcast say, have you talked to anybody that's quarantined alone right now? And he was like, yeah, I literally just got off the phone with somebody that's alone. And he's like, isn't it sad? And he was like, yeah. And like, I'm ready to hang up and go like, all right, man, good talking with you. And then it turns into like oh yeah, one more thing, over and over. And you're like,
Yeah.
damn, dude, this guy. And I have a couple neighbors that same thing, like in passing. And then all of a sudden you're like normal in passing exchanges, minute conversation, 2 minutes tops. And now it's like 5, 10. And you're like, oh man, they haven't talked to anybody in a while. It's sad, man.
That's the premise of therapy, right? It's literally talking.
Yep.
And someone's there listening. Yeah, you have to actually say it. Not the shit that goes up here, that Eckhart Tolle, the inner monologue stuff. That's talking all day long. But like sitting there and talking to someone, like right now what we're doing, we're just running our thoughts. That's therapeutic.
That's why those Zoom
That's counseling.
happy hours with your friends feel so damn good. You're like, I mean, it was just an hour and a half of bullshit, but that's what we used to do. We used to meet up at a brewery and have an hour and a half of bullshit with each other and coworkers to bitch with, and it's not happening right now.
That's it. No one gets those daily minimal like therapy sessions, whether it's like you got like people are on their lunch break, or you get to,
right.
You get to go to the gym, and during the warm up when no one's listening or doing anything, it's when you're chit chatting, Same with jiu-jitsu. It's like after class, you're just like chatting about stories. That's therapy, but nobody's getting any of that right now.
But that's why
fucking scary.
Identify that though, right? So like,
exactly.
My wife is a teacher, and of course, break rooms, they go in there and bitch about kids and their husbands, whatever. That's normal. So they have a Zoom for that. They meet up, they talk for hours because they're like, man, we miss this. We usually do this every single day and it's taken for granted. So now we do it once a week. And so I took that and started doing it with my office. I'm like, we used to just constantly make fun of each other and keep it all lighthearted. So I'm like, we got to have once a week, a quick Zoom, everybody on it. And it's not even to be like, this is what it looks like for me. This is what, like like maybe 5 minutes of that, but the other 25 is just like, what's new, guys? Like, what's going on? Let's talk some shit and move on. So like that was good to identify. And then the escape of going to the gym. I know you built your garage gym out too, and it just feels freaking amazing, right? Like you just close your door and go into a garage and you're like, I'm gone from my normal house for 30 minutes.
This has been like this one thing that I do now on Sundays. I do my church thing just for connection. And then afterwards I have Caleb with me. He hangs out real well outside in the gym. And then last Sunday I was out there for like 3 hours. I didn't rush anything, no planning. Yep. So I'm like, I'm going to do some pec curls. And then I get on my phone and I'm chatting with Bob or chatting with someone else. It's like, that's what I would normally do, right? Like at the gym, I'd work out, do a set, and then I'm hanging out with whoever. and then you do a set, but it's kind of like I'm recreating what I like. It's not like, oh man, I've got to set goals. I got to get shredded. I got to get a 500-pound deadlift, because even when I did those things, I'm doing it with people. So just hanging out, like, oh, maybe I'll grab this band and start doing this. And then my social connection is through social media because I'm trying to share what I learn. And it's the same thing I'd be doing in the gym. So even though I'm like separated from the world, isolated in a garage, there's still ways to go back to do what I normally would do,
That's
So it's,
exactly right, man. Because I know I came out from as soon as I set up the gym, Marie would be like, "You were down there for 3 hours," and I was like, "I wasn't working out for 3 hours. That's for damn sure. I was a lot of stretching, foam rolling, lacrosse balling, listening to music, just like you said, taking your time, which you can't do normally. You're usually at the gym going, I got to get out of here at this time. Well, when getting out of here is just going upstairs to take a shower and you're ready for dinner, it's pretty awesome. So I'm trying to find positive things like that. Zooms, house party, those are just so good. I know I watched the NFL draft with my buddies from Cairo school. We're on house party talking shit and drinking, and I was barbecuing, and I was like, that was like the best day I had in quarantine. Woke up Thursday and I was like, it's a NFL draft tonight, barbecued all day, drank and talked to my buddies all night. And I was like outside the whole time, just watching on an iPad. And I was like, this is amazing. Like I honestly felt like I had a vacation day. So like that kind, and then again, that connection, like I don't normally talk to them like that over video chat, but we all wanted to, that's my old family. So we all like caught up, showed each other's faces, and it felt like as if we'd never missed a beat, and like as if nothing else was happening besides that draft and us hanging out. So finding little opportunities like that is so huge. And then just
that's the mental health stuff, you need that. That's
definitely,
that's
man.
how we survived the world before the COVID. So why change it now? Like if that's what you would do before, why change it? And it's kind of crazy. It's just like, I know we all go through the waves of motivation and like, oh, I can't
Right.
do, it's not the same. I can't work out at home. Instead of focus, like you said, on the negative, it's like, okay, then ask yourself, like, why do you even work out? Right? Why do you even do FixFit, or why do you even do whatever? And then if you say like, I work out because I like to socialize with the community, it's all about community, I like to help people, then if I look at it from that front, it doesn't matter that I didn't get a fucking amazing workout because I don't
Right.
have a pull-up rig, a squat rack, whatever, right? Like that's not the point. I'm doing it so now I can still create content and help people, and I can still connect with others now on Zoom because I'm okay to modify instead of trying to force a heavy RX weight. I'm just using light dumbbells, but man, getting to sweat and cheer people on in Zoom, like,
Feels great. Yeah.
so if you don't have equipment, if you don't have this, you don't
And you
have
know
that,
what?
that wasn't your why to begin with. So let's go back to that Simon Sinek thing. Start with why.
Exactly.
Like, ask yourself if you're failing at something, whether it's health and fitness related, because that's what we talk about. My neck always hurts now. I wasn't hurting before. Well, ask yourself why. What would you do before this? You know, you'd have more intention to work out or go for walks or get out of your chair while you're working and do some of the fix fit drills. But now you're probably sitting in your chair more than you were at work, and you're probably doing zero fix fit or fitness.
Right.
So it's like, it's not you. It just, because let's say the gym opens up and your office opens up, right? It's not going to fix that issue. We can't fix, let's say, 10 months of you not giving a shit about your health, you
Right.
know? So it's just that mindset of like, do what has always worked for you and do it for those same reasons.
Exactly. And to quote Bob, the wise one, to kind of close this out, it's okay to not feel okay. There's gonna be, I mean, you're literally can't go anywhere for 7 days. I remember earlier this week I asked Marie, what are we doing this weekend? And I just fucking started laughing after I said that, because I was like, we're not doing shit. Like, are you serious? Like, why would I even think? Like, that was just a normal response. Like, hey, what are we doing this weekend? I haven't thought about it for a while. Oh, it doesn't matter. So
Yep.
in those 7 days, you're gonna have, I read the wrong article and now I'm spiraling down. I haven't talked to anybody in a while. I'm feeling down. I'm frustrated with my kids or wife. And it's like, it's okay. It's not, you're not going to be freaking perfect this whole time. It's impossible.
I go through that every day, and I'm honest with my mental health or whatever. It's like throughout the day, there's like periods where I'm trying to get motivation, be all jacked up, like, oh, I'm going to do this workout, or I'm going to do the Zoom, or I'm going to
Yep.
create new content. And then there's times at night where I'm just sitting there. I'm like, why the fuck did I just do all that? Why am
Yep.
I stressed the fuck out? Who gives a flying fuck? Like, it goes from like the extremes of like, let's do this, to the same day where I'm like, fuck it. Who
Because
gives a
it feels
shit?
like it feels old, right? I was that way yesterday. I had this giant task list and I went manic and just fucking checked it all off. And I was like, this feels like old times. But I knew in the back of my head, well, tomorrow I could reset myself and I get to record a podcast and I get to talk to my team tomorrow and I might see some few patients today and I'm catching up. I'm starting to reopen my office. So I was like, I get to take a pump the brakes a little bit afterwards, but just that old sense, like you were saying, of normal routine. I was like, oh shit, it feels so good. I'm just going crazy. And then by nighttime, I was like, I'm fried. And it's like, I can't do that every day because that's what we were doing before this, right? Before closure, it was like, how do I take that break? And how do I get balance in my life? How do I grow a practice without being obsessed all the time about it? And now we have all the time to think about it. So it's just really, really, really crazy times, but you hear that all the time from all aspects of any profession.
And I get, like, I'm with it. It's okay to not be okay, because, dude, trust me, it's like being at home with a baby, and then Andrea and I, will fight because it's just, that's the only people you have to fight with. I'm not going to be fighting with a child, you know, a
Right.
baby. And it's like, it's okay to not be okay. And then, but also it's just like thinking a little deeper to the solution, the fix fit solution type of thing. It's like, what's worked for us in the past, you know, like we should have all learned some life lessons. Like you said,
Right.
if this, like, you get burnt out on it in a everyday life, it's not just the COVID, but then
Right.
what gets you out of it? Everyone has a different answer, but I think we have to start applying. We should have by now learned some freaking valuable life lessons about ourselves. And it's like, let's not stay in that funk, you know, do what you normally would do, obviously with some modifications. Because if you normally go out and play golf with your buddies, like, that might not happen, you know. Or if you're like, you know what, normally I just go to the gym and I de-stress, there's other ways to do that, you know. If like you, there's times have changed a little, like you said, people would just come to you. But if they can't come to you as frequently, and we don't normally prescribe so much like mobility, like foam roller and lacrosse ball,
But
but you
hey,
have to do something,
there's
you know.
no one's taking ibuprofen right now because they said don't. You know, it just depends on who they is and who you want to listen to. But try to dodge the political side of this and just try to make your best judgment call is the overall stance I want to take because it's becoming too political in terms of what my rights are and what this is and it's like, dude, just keep that stuff to yourself. Try not to be too vocal because that will stress you out. But
I want to invite people, because I don't know who's going to
let's
listen.
do
This
it.
is our first one back. Um, I'm going to, like, my mindset always tries to end on a positive note, you know, like, who knows what's going to bring, like, where we're going to be as a physical business CrossFit Sun in 3 months. Who gives a shit though? But I have it right now. So what we're going to do is keep the party going, and we're going to have the connection that we just talked about for whatever the last 45 minutes. And we have Monday through Friday Zoom sessions. Don't have to think about shit. Jump in, jump out whenever you want, and it's free to every and anyone. We want you guys to just come in, get a workout, and have some socialization. Talk some shit. We'll take care of all the coaching elements. I'm going to put a lot more intention to do things like the planche challenge and videos out for little quick fix drills. So just connect more using social media, the intention of actually connecting with people. So in May, that's what's going to happen. So if anyone needs that re-energize, that motivation, or that acceptance of this is, might be how it is, then come along for the ride, because FixFit's evolved to a lot more of this, you know, which is fine.
That's
This
where
is
I
it.
think that because we're ahead of it and just being like, hey, we got to roll with what we got. We're figuring out Zoom and
Join us for Meaty May. I got the beef
it's
shirt.
way ahead. And it feels great that, if there is they all, you'll hear again, they say, they literally will say something like, it'll spike again next flu season. Okay. So what if they say next March and April, we're shut down? We already know what to do.
Yeah,
So
I, I'm I'm
boom.
I'm thankful, because I never listen or watch the news anyways. I only get the important stuff. Like someone's like, hey, your gyms are phase 3. Then I have to go look, because it's important for business. But I do stay off of it because what's the point? I've already been down the rabbit hole. I think we all have for the last 10 weeks, running all the possibilities, all the
Right.
rabbit holes. We've been down the rabbit holes like 1,000 times. There's nothing to do but to think. But just, we're here, I think the fixed fit mentality, we're here to help in any of the 3 categories: mental, physical, social. So I
Yeah,
think
we got
that's
some fixed fit online stuff. I mean, obviously, if you follow us at Cook Cairo, I got some mobility stuff you could start doing. If you follow CrossFit Sun, like Mark was saying, all those Zoom workouts come in. FixFit itself, working on a website, programs coming out. What else, man? I mean, just think, like, I remember in the first 2 weeks when I was just playing catch up and trying to put out fires, I kept calling it. Once I was like, I'm going to use April to catch up on everything. I was like, it's kind of nice to know that there's something to work on every day. Cause my business, and I guess your business too, is primarily inside, right? It's like you have a location that you need to operate out of. For both of us to stay as busy as we've had is pretty exciting, isn't it? Like, hey man, we could work on this. We could work on that. We could launch this. You could launch that. Like, I never thought that would be the case, but you got to kind of step away from it for a while to realize that we're pretty lucky.
no, for sure. That's where my mindset is. I mean, being in the business or industry of gyms is really not the best place to be, but we are lucky because we're still able to do it. I'm not
Right.
laid off, and that's why I'm like, everyone's trying to maybe attract new online clients, or everyone's trying to like increase the value. Like Robin, you said, like, don't try to do something new. I'm like, we're already giving 110% to our community.
Unless you're baking and doing like
We're
making
already doing
sourdough
that.
bread, that's okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
but
If
it's
you're
just,
gonna, I'm gonna take up baking. At least you get to eat it, and at least you could share it with your friends and family.
I just think from a fitness standpoint, just personally, one last thing is that
Yeah.
I was like, I'm tired because I don't have a ton of weights. I don't have a bunch of stuff. That's why I started that planche goal with all these different people. Like, that's just what I do, like the deadlift goal or this or that.
Right.
So it's just like, I think that's where I'm going to continue my own personal journey of staying motivated. Is that's what we do as CrossFitters, is we just kind of rope in as many people as we can to do a certain thing. Like, there's parts of the community that are going to do like a marathon or
Right.
so I'm just trying to get fixed fit jacked, do gymnastics, do Olympic
We should,
weightlifting. And it's like whoever
especially
wants to.
maybe June. I guess we still the jacked by July. Still want to stay jacked by July.
That's where it starts in May. Check out all the carnivore people. If you haven't tried it because you had no time to cook meat at home, you have all the time in the world now. Like, it's time to dabble in May. Join our Fix Fit Jacked in May as a tester. You don't have to wait again. You know what I'm saying? The goal is to start to dabble.
Just don't go to urgent care when you get a little keto flu, okay? It's not the real flu. You just gotta kind of, if you have aches and chills, it's because you're eliminating a lot of carbs and sugar out
It's
of your
probably
body,
because
okay?
you've been drinking every day. I had to do the
That's
Monday through Friday no drinking because it was bad. It was like my carnivore was at its worst, where it's like every other day. I was
yeah.
still doing it meat based, but I was drinking a lot of bourbon, a lot.
Yeah, man. Alcohol sales are through the roof. It's crazy because I got a buddy that sells wine, and he was like, "Oh, we're fucking essential right now." He's like, it is out of control, his commission right now, because they're doing well.
Yep. Just
But
stay off the juice a little bit. And again, I'm only doing that. I posted in our
get off the
carnivore
soft.
group. I
Yeah.
only started being more strict and had self-control because I know that the people in our carnivore group is doing Monday through Friday, like strictish, right? Got to have people, man. That's it. Connect with people.
That's
That's the only way
smart.
to do it.
Only drink on the weekends. That was a good game plan, like during pre-COVID, right? Like,
Yeah, should be.
But yeah, just,
This was fun, man. I missed this.
I know this felt normal, so I just was happy to get this back on. All right, maybe we'll be back next week. We'll see.
Who knows?
Pay
Who
attention
cares?
to the news.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
cares?
Who cares?
All right, man. Good chatting with you again, buddy.
We're out.